Over 23% of businesses fail within the first year, and that number jumps up to close to 50% after 5. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 4 proven businesses that you can start today that don't require a lot of money up front. They're low risk, and the kicker is that there's no technical skill requirements for them. So when you couple the high overall failure rate for small businesses with the risk of starting them, which is just your time and your money, it's not that surprising to see why most people end up as W-2 employees until they retire. If risk is a spectrum, starting your first business is super far out on the risk curve for a couple of different reasons. One, because if you fail at starting your first business, your likelihood to take any more risks after that goes down drastically. We tend to avoid things that don't feel good. So it becomes almost like a Hail Mary pass. You put all your eggs in that basket. And 2, you've never actually ran a business before. So obviously the probabilities and percentages are skewed for you to fail. Running a business is just like most things in life. The more reps you get, the better you will be at it. It's kind of like riding a bike. And if you rode a bike for the first time, hopefully you had training wheels so that way you didn't fall. Well, these businesses that I'm going to go over today are no different. They're proven, profitable businesses. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So these are unsexy businesses that most people don't want to do, which is exactly why they provide you an opportunity to start on day one with low capital requirements. So I'm going to go over the data and some talking points. All you have to do is ask yourself, is this something I could see myself doing? All right, so pressure washers. So the average annual income for these are $44,000, and the top 10% make as much as $62,000. You could theoretically start this super lean with as little as $200 up front. All you would need is an actual pressure washer, and you could go with something like a cold water machine instead of a hot water pressure washer because they're much cheaper. You would need a hose, some detergent, and a water tank. The great thing about this type of business is that you could start with a $0 marketing budget and you can just get clients by going door to door. And number 2, you can make your upfront capital costs back on day 1. All you would need is about 2 or 3 clients at around $150 per, and you've already made your money back. All right, next is junk removal. So the average person in the United States produces around 4.5 pounds of waste per day. We're the #1 total trash producing country in the world, and we account for around 40% of the world's waste. So what does that tell you? That provides an opportunity for you to create a successful business because there's such a demand for it. All you would need to get started is a truck and a trailer. Why I love this business so much is for a couple of different reasons. Number 1, it's recession resistant. It doesn't actually matter what's going on in the economy, there's always going to be a strong demand and need for junk removal. Number 2 is growth. It's only exploded since the 90s, junk removal as an industry, and you have to think with the eco and environmentally friendly policy and legislations that have gone through, it's only going to help guide that growth even further. Number 3 is the flexibility that it provides. You can run it independently or you can try to scale the business even further. Number 4 is there's a low barrier to entry. There's no skill requirement at all. As long as you can get over the initial startup costs that are relatively high compared to some of the other options I go over in this video, where if you actually think about it, in the grand scheme of starting a business, it's actually relatively very low. All right, next is real estate video editing. And we live in a post-pandemic world that changed consumption forever. I'm sure you would not disagree with that. Online media consumption alone has risen by 215% just in the United States, which is why it's so surprising and shocking that only 9% of agents create actual online listing videos. But that's where you can come in because there's such an obvious gap between what's being provided and a lack of value. This could be the bridge to that gap. 73% of homeowners say that they'd rather list with an agent who creates online videos. And there's a 403% increase in inquiries than those with video than without. So there's a ton of statistics backing up how valuable this type of service-based business is, and there's a clear need for it. What's so great about it is that it could lead into other ventures that require the same skill set, like wedding photography or videography, which let me tell you is super profitable. And number 2 is the flexibility that it can provide. I have a buddy who does this in Austin, and he travels all over the country. It can really give you a good work-life balance. All right, this next one, 100 million people use every single day, and I bet if I gave you 100 tries to guess it, you probably couldn't do it, and that's vending machines. You probably pass multiple of these every single day, not knowing that it's a killer business. All right, so why I love these so much is because of the relatively low startup cost. You can find machines around $1,400 to $4,000, and even if that sounds too pricey, you could probably find them cheaper on reseller sites. The profit margins on them are pretty good. They hover around 20 to 25%. And the last thing is that the success rate for these businesses are above 80%. So if you couple all those factors together, it's really a no-brainer for your first business venture. The idea behind these is a really simple one when you break it down. It's to gain confidence and being financially independent. As long as you can prove to yourself that you can produce one single dollar outside of your W-2, you can do it. You don't need to be the next Steve Jobs to be a successful business owner and entrepreneur. A lot of super wealthy people run relatively boring businesses. None of these are passive businesses. They're going to require some real work. Things might go wrong, as they often do in business. A machine might break. Somebody might not like your service. You might need to restock product. It's really all in how you respond. They are going to require sweat equity, but there's really not that many businesses out there that don't involve some elbow grease. So just remember, there is real risk to doing this, but there's also real reward. And if you don't have the money to start a business, I recommend you watching this video to save your first couple $1,000s to get going. So that's all I've got for you in this video. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys soon. So take care.